This comes from Jennifer, and she wants to know, she says, as a statement, we need to implement gun control laws, and this is obviously in the wake of the tragedy in Las Vegas. But what would that law entail? What would it ban? What gun would be legal? Why doesn't somebody write that law and bring it up? And she finishes with, so my question to you is, why didn't President Obama do this when he was in control of everything? Chris, let me go to you first.
Well, I mean, that's a reasonable question. I think people on the right are asking. You know, Democrats had full control of everything, and you know, a filibuster-proof majority back between 2008 and 2009. So, if they're for all these regulations now, why weren't they then? Even one gun manufacturer that makes these, these bump stocks that we talked about before, has a letter from President Obama's ATF saying that, yes, in fact, these things are legal. So it seems like those steps could have been taken back when they knew about them. So, yeah, I mean, we've discussed earlier about some of the things that have been discussed, but in effect, we have the Second Amendment, and, a lot of in the case of these mass shootings, there's really not a whole lot that could have been done. Now, maybe we can think of things that can be done to stop future ones, but in these cases, we haven't seen a whole lot.
Okay, all right, Mary, anything to add to that?
I think it does sound like maybe there'll be some action on the bump stock issue. I think the number of guns that this man bought in a relatively short period of time, I guess part of me as a reporter always asking questions wonders if he had been maybe a Muslim, or if he had been African American, or if he hadn't been, basically a wealthy white gentleman, whether it would have triggered some kind of concern or alarm bells. That does seem like an awful lot of weapons to be purchasing in
What about the question,
months.
though, about why didn't President Obama, when the Democrats controlled everything, get this done?
The NRA is a very powerful lobbying agency. They give a lot of money to politicians, and that with that money, I would say, comes some degree of influence. And it's not just Republicans that they give money to. They've given money to a lot of Democrats, including, moderate Democrats, I think Democrats here in Wisconsin, some maybe Ron Kind, I could be wrong. Yeah. Not to the degree that someone like House Speaker Paul Ryan has gotten. He's gotten substantially more. But I do think it's not exactly always a Democrat versus Republican issue, and there are some moderate Democrats in kind of more mixed districts who would actually vote against it. So, I wasn't covering Congress back when President Obama was first in office, and I wasn't even covering politics back then. But, I think that with an election coming up, that people do think of what kind of district they're representing and whether there'll be blowback for tight gun restrictions.
Okay.